We're here with Colleen Vaughn talking about nutrition and health. And today we're going to touch on a very polarizing topic, I believe.
Oh boy.
Yeah. To eat or to not eat gluten. Is gluten the enemy?
Is gluten the enemy?
Is it
Yes.
this big scary thing?
Yes. Good question. Okay, so I'm going to give you a fairly non-polarizing answer. Riddle me that. So it would be way easier for me to be on one side of the fence or the other, because I think that's where people want to live.
In just a few scenarios these days. All right. So
right.
But we're talking about gluten.
Yeah, we're talking about gluten.
where do you
So
come
in terms of gluten, let's just first get our facts straight. So gluten is a protein that's found in wheat, barley, rye, and spelt. So grain type foods. And it has been shown in most individuals to actually cause the gut lining to open up. So if you think about the gut is supposed to be like that, when almost anyone consumes gluten, it opens up just a little bit. And in some people, that's no big whoop-de-doo. It seals right back down and it's not a thing. In other people, depending on their genetics, their lifestyle, their stress, any other, immune system compromise, that little bit of opening can cause more issues down the road. And so it can be things like brain fog and, inflammation and just feeling kind of run down, as well as gastrointestinal symptoms. So it matters, because if you're one of those people who's experiencing symptoms from it, it can absolutely be important to take it out of your diet, either totally, completely, if you have something called celiac disease, or if you have a gluten sensitivity, really do your best to avoid it. And so if you're one of those people, super helpful to do that. But if not, if you're eating it and you're not noticing any symptoms and you're doing just fine, maintaining whole grain, whole wheat products in your diet is not a problem. Looking for high quality, high fiber, ancient grains, things like that. Ezekiel bread is a really good example of a really great food for people who aren't sensitive. So that's where I sit on it. Is it right for you? Yes or no? We can figure that out.
But help me out. Sometimes people don't know what feeling good feels like.
Yeah.
So they may be eating gluten, processed, whatever, sub sandwiches, etc., and they feel normal. So how do you, some people, you just don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So how do you, and maybe I'm asking just a rabbit hole question here, but how do you get people to understand? So would you suggest that if you were to take gluten out of your diet for a week, 2 weeks?
I'd go 2 weeks.
2 weeks. And then maybe everybody could do that step.
Yep.
And then see how you feel.
See how you feel, yeah.
Do you feel different, better, or do you feel the same?
Right. And I would give a caveat. If you're going to take gluten out for 2 weeks, don't just go and buy all the gluten-free products. Because they may actually leave you feeling worse. So the gluten-free products are going to be made with things like rice flour and potato starch, and these very quickly digested, highly processed flours that our body does not generally respond well to. So if you're gonna do it, then substitute in your carbohydrates for things like sweet potatoes and white potatoes, things like that, that are gonna have a little more fiber and things that aren't gonna mess up your blood sugar.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, in the 90s, maybe late 80s, the fat-free
Oh
craze.
gosh, yes.
And if it was fat-free, it was healthy.
Twizzlers were like my
Fat-free.
go-to. They were fat-free.
They're healthy.
They were delicious.
And today it's kind of the same thing. We want these binary answers.
Yeah.
If it's gluten-free, it's healthy. So you've
Right.
got this gluten-free cake that has this, that, and the other thing.
Exactly. And you'd actually be better off if you're not gluten sensitive eating the real thing that has something to it. So yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Great tips. So know yourself. You're the
Know
expert
yourself.
of you.
Yep.
Pay attention to how your body's feeling.
Yes. And if you have questions, you can always work with someone who can help you identify those things. So, when I work with someone, I really ask them very specific questions to start to get to the root of some of their symptoms. And so I have specific questions that lead me down a path, so I know if maybe it's worthwhile for us to take something out for a few weeks and test it and see. So I'm a big fan of testing stuff out.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Good tips. Thanks, Colleen.
No problem.